All right, everybody, now we're going to do a comparable search on MLS. This is if you're looking to find a list price to list a property, or you're looking to justify an offer price that your buyer's making on a specific property. So you're actually going to be start detailed and then work into generalities, and I'll show you what I mean. So you're still going to go to search and go to residential quick search. Now let's say that the property that we're looking for comparables for is 829 South Meander Drive in Altamont Springs, Florida, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a pool, built in 1978, approximately 1,500 square feet. Okay. This is how we start. So it automatically defaults to actives. We'll also look at pendings and solds. That's your general search. Okay, you can also do expireds too if you want. If you're looking to justify why not to make an offer at a certain price, because typically expireds will show that if it's priced too high, it'll stay on the market too long, and the sellers get frustrated and withdraw the property, let it expire, or to show a seller that, hey, you're listed way too high for the market value of this property. So I'm going to show you how I do it, which isn't necessarily the way that other people do it. Some people might do it the same, some might not, but this is how I typically do it. So we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family home. So active, pending, solds, you want to be as detailed as, more detailed than you would on a regular search. So let's go back 90 days for the pendings and solds first. And if we can't find anything, then we'll start broadening the dates, the time frame in terms of pendings and solds. But we'd like to keep them around 3 months or less. And depending on the areas that the property is located in, the subject property, it could be more or less. So we want single family homes only, so I'll go down to property style and do single family homes because we don't want condos or anything else like that. And then I'll come over here, and it's a 3-2, so let's just try to stick to 3-2s right now. Okay, if we can't find any or we can't find enough, then we'll do a range. The square footage you always still want to keep in a range because it's going to be very uncommon for you to get an exact square footage match for as many as you need. So I think it was 1,500 square feet, so we'll say 1,400 to 1,700. And the year built, it was built in 78, so let's see if we can find anything between 1975 and 1990. Again, you want to be as specific as possible because that helps narrow down in terms of getting it close as comparables as possible. And we did have a pool, a private pool, so let's select properties with private pools. And it's in Altamont Springs, Florida. I already know that in the subdivision itself I'm not going to find enough properties, so I'm not even going to start with the subdivision. I'm just going to start with the city, which it auto-filled for me. And there's 2 zips in the city, and I knew the predominant one that this property is located in is 32714, so I'm going to stick with that one. So we have 7 matches. Okay, so let's see what the 7 matches are. We have 3 active, 3 pendings, and 1 sold. Okay, you typically want at least 3 of each. If you just have 1 or none, you're going to have to expand your search. So we need more sold, so let's go back to criteria. And let's go down to solds, and let's go back 180 days. Okay, and now we have 8 properties. So you know what, let me just expand this because I was pretty narrow on my square footage. So let's see if 1,800 makes a difference. And we have 9. So let's see what the results of the 9 are. There you go. We've got essentially, in terms of numbers, a perfect match here. Now, if I have a more, and it's, I usually look between 3 to 6 properties. If I have 6 active properties that pull up, and one's 40,000 and one's 300,000, and the rest are right in this range, I'm going to throw out the highest and lowest. Same with the pendings and the solds. If I have solds that sold for between 140 and 180, and then I have one that sold for 40,000 and one that sold for 300,000, I'm going to throw those 2 out. Okay, so we see here active pending sold, the addresses, the subdivisions that they're in, the square footage under heat is right here, the current prices, beds and baths, active days on market, contract days on market. Contract days on market you're not going to see typically, but I've noticed with Matrix that it's not really doing any type of difference, so I don't even know if contract date on market even works on Matrix. But the big difference is going to be here. They're all going to have a listing price per square foot, so this is what the per square footage is listed. And then your solds are going to have a sold square footage price, okay? So this is going to give you a ratio. So this sold 90% of asking price for listed price of square foot. This sold exactly at 100%, and this sold at 95%. So that's a good ratio in terms of active to solds. That means we don't have a whole lot of variation, that the market value that's perceived seems to be the market value that is. Now this sold in the end of October, beginning of February. Okay. So what we typically want to do, or at least what I do, is I'll look at these properties and make sure that they're all similar properties to the subject property, that there's not one that's dramatically different than the others. I try to keep it as simple as possible. If I have to make adjustments, meaning that one has granite countertops or one has a pool and one doesn't, if I don't have enough pools in the subject search, you always make adjustments. You always make adjustments to the comparable properties. You don't make an adjustment to the subject property. So if the comparable property has a pool and the subject property does not, typically it's between $8,000 to $12,000 that you'll take off of the comparable property. So if the comparable property is $200,000 and the subject property is listed at $198,000, you would take the pool off of the comparable property or add it to the comparable property. But in this case, we're going to say that all of these are the same because I want to keep this simple for you. So we have our actives, our pendings, and our solds. We look at the active list prices that we have. And again, see we have 87 and 70, then 89 and 110. What I'll typically do is do the average sold price here. And again, we have kind of a big range here. So we should probably look into these a little bit more so you understand. And get an idea of what the properties look like. And again, we have 1-story and 2-story homes here. And a little bit different age in each home. But again, if I wanted to keep just basic for you, we're essentially going to do this. We're going to look at the sold price per square footage, and we're going to add the 3 up. And again, this is the basic way to look this up. So I added up the 3 that I wanted and then divided by 3. So I get $190.67, $109.67 per square foot, right? So we just write down, we'll say $109 just to keep it simple. My pendings are 70, 89, and 110. 70 plus 89 plus 110. Divided by 3. equals 89. And then I have my actives, which are 87, 102, whoops, 87 plus 102 plus 131 equals 320 divided by 3, because there's 3 properties. I get 1066, so let's say 106. So if I want to keep this as basic as possible, I would do 106, which is the actives, plus 89, which is the pendings, plus 109 equals 304 divided by 3, because you have active average, pending average, and sold average, which gives me 101.333. So we'll just say 101, or you can say 102. Let's say 102. And then my subject property is 1,500 square feet, so $102 times 1,500. And I'm going to get a rough ballpark price of $153. Now, if you want to get more specific in terms of wood floors, granite countertops, swimming pools, again, you're going to factor those. You're not going to add those to your subject property. You're going to subtract or add those to your comparable properties. Okay? So typically you're subtracting, but that's more of a detailed CMA. This, I just wanted to give you the basics to have an understanding of what the general ideas are for getting a price for a subject property, whether you're making an offer or looking to find a list price for a property. So I essentially found the most comparable properties to the subject property, active, pending, and sold. Ideally, at least 3 actives, 3 pendings, and 3 solds. Typically, you want them no more than 6 months out. In this case, we had to go 6 months out. Ideally, you'd want them 90 days or less in terms of your pendings and your solds, especially your solds. You want to take the list price average for your actives and pendings, so you add up those list price per square foot that you have for each, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then you add them up and divide by 3 to get your average. And with the sold ones, you add up the sold price per square foot and divide by 3 and get your average. And then add the active, pending, and sold averages together and divide by 3. You should get a rough square footage range. And then multiply that by the number of square feet in the subject property to give you a idea of a fair market value for the subject property. Some people think I'm crazy when I do that, but and that there's more detail to it, and there is. But as a general rule, that's pretty close. And I've never had an issue with an offer or a listing doing that type of quick valuation. Obviously, when you do your first ones, we'll do them together, and we'll go into more detail on how to do a CMA from a more exact science in terms of looking at features and functionality and things like that that one property may have over the other. They're all not going to come out like this, but again, this is just a general idea, so you have an understanding of the basics of doing a CMA. Any other questions, just let me know. And as always, I'm always happy to help. And I hope you found this somewhat helpful. I know CMAs can be a little confusing, and it's definitely a one-on-one situation with you when you're doing one, at least the first couple times.